In the glamorous yet often tumultuous world of Hollywood, feuds and rivalries among stars are as storied as their cinematic achievements. Behind the dazzling red carpets and glittering awards, conflicts between celebrities can sometimes overshadow their artistic contributions. These enmities, whether stemming from professional disputes, personal betrayals, or public altercations, reveal a different side of the entertainment industry, characterized by intense rivalries and complex relationships. From on-set tensions to public spats, these famous feuds offer a glimpse into the high-stakes drama that unfolds behind the scenes, highlighting how personal conflicts can intersect with professional lives in the ever-watchful eye of the public. Number 8. Vin Diesel versus Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. During the production of The Fate of the Furious 2017, Dwayne Johnson and Vin Diesel began their feud, which was highlighted by severe on-set hostility. This dispute began during the production of the film. It was widely believed that Johnson was making a subtle shot at Diesel when he posted a cryptic message on Instagram in which he criticized his male co-stars for being unprofessional. This post caused a lot of controversy. According to reports, the conflict that was underlying was caused by the fact that they had different approaches to leadership and work ethics. The fact that Johnson made the decision to not participate in any of the upcoming sequels of the Fast and Furious franchise brought even more attention to the public nature of their grudge. Diesel, despite this, has openly indicated a wish to heal their friendship despite the fact that the schism that exists between the two action stars continues to be a significant chapter in the history of the franchise. Number 7. Joan Rivers versus Johnny Carson. The fallout between Joan Rivers and Johnny Carson stemmed from a deep sense of betrayal. Rivers had been a frequent guest and guest host on The Tonight Show, where Carson helped launch her career. However, their friendship came to an abrupt end in the 1980s when Rivers accepted an offer to host her own late-night talk show on a competing network without informing Carson in advance. Carson, who felt blindsided by Rivers' decision, viewed this as a personal and professional betrayal. As a result, he severed all ties with Rivers and reportedly never spoke to her again. This rift remained unresolved until Carson's death, casting a shadow over what had once been a strong mentorship. Number 6. Madonna versus Lady Gaga. Allegations of plagiarism have been the primary source of contention between Madonna and Lady Gaga. These allegations have mostly centered on Gaga's purported imitation of Madonna's musical style and signature sound. In 2011, Lady Gaga released her song Born This Way, which many reviewers and fans pointed out sounded startlingly similar to Madonna's 1989 smash Express Yourself. This caused tensions to rise to a point where they were at their highest height. In a public statement, Madonna referred to Lady Gaga's work as reductive, meaning that it was a less innovative version of her own work. This served to further exacerbate the debate. Despite the fact that both of them have since downplayed the feud in interviews, this comment sparked a public back and forth that led to years of subtle insults and strained relations between the two pop icons. Number 5. Tom Cruise versus Brooke Shields. In 2005, Tom Cruise and Brooke Shields became embroiled in a public disagreement when Cruz chastised Shields for using pharmaceuticals to manage her postpartum depression. This was the beginning of the public dispute between the two actors. As a Scientologist, Cruz was outspoken in his opposition to the use of psychiatric drugs. He referred to Shields as misguided and advocated for the use of vitamins and exercise as alternatives that are more nutritionally sound. On the other hand, Shields promptly responded, describing Cruz's comments as reckless and supporting her decision to seek medical treatment. A widespread discussion regarding mental health and the stigma associated with psychiatric medicine was sparked as a result of their feud. Even though the argument was heated and was covered by the media, Cruz eventually apologized to Shields in public, and it was stated that the two of them reconciled once the argument was over. Number 4. Nicki Minaj versus Cardi B. A high-profile incident that took place at a party during New York Fashion Week in 2018 was the moment when Cardi B and Nicki Minaj's rap competition achieved its pinnacle performance. The tension between the two came to a head when, according to reports, they got into a physical altercation at the event. This occurred despite the fact that they had previously insulted each other through interviews and social media. Cardi B later asserted that the argument was caused by Minaj supposedly criticizing her parenting abilities, which Minaj categorically rejected. Cardi B's assertion was a bit of a stretch. Despite the fact that emotions between the two have somewhat decreased since the event, it became the most intense time in their continuous rivalry in the course of their ongoing conflict. This does not change the fact that their relationship is still distant and there is no obvious settlement in sight. Number 3. Paris Hilton versus Lindsay Lohan. Public conflict swiftly developed between Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan, who were a part of a famous trio in the early 2000s alongside Britney Spears. The personal turmoil between the three of them involved Britney Spears. Their disagreement was worsened by the fact that they had romantic relationships with one another, most notably with individuals like as Brandon Davis, who was notorious for insulting Lindsay Lohan in a tape that was released in 2006 as Hilton laughed in the background. This event served as a turning point in the decline of their friendship, which ultimately resulted in years of conflicts in public environments. Both celebrities have demonstrated their antipathy for one another by exchanging pointed comments in interviews and by taking jabs at one another on social media. Personal slights and convoluted relationships were the driving forces for their feud, which eventually became one of the most well-known celebrity dramas of the era. Number 2. George Clooney versus David O. Russell. A memorable event in the history of Hollywood was the on-set altercation that took place between George Clooney and director David O. Russell during the production of the film Three Kings, 1999. As Clooney watched what was purportedly harsh behavior on the part of Russell against crew workers, which he believed to be reprehensible, tensions between them increased. Russell was confronted by Clooney, who was known for supporting courteous treatment on set. This led to a heated conversation that eventually evolved into a physical brawl between the two of them. Later on, Clooney referred to his time spent working with Russell as the most difficult experience of his entire career. Russell has been embroiled in a number of other high-profile feuds during his career due to his abrasive directorial style. This event is only one of many that have occurred in his history of confrontation with actors. 1. Mariah Carey versus Jennifer Lopez. The origins of the Mariah Carey and Jennifer Lopez feud trace back to the early 2000s when Carey was asked about Lopez during an interview. Instead of offering praise or critique, Carey simply responded, "I don't know," her, a phrase that has since become a hallmark of celebrity shade. Although the exact cause of tension between the two stars remains unclear, the seemingly dismissive comment suggested that Carey either genuinely didn't recognize Lopez or more likely was subtly minimizing Lopez's relevance in comparison to her own. The remark became an iconic example of a veiled insult in pop culture, and has been repeatedly referenced as a sign of rivalry between the two. Despite Lopez's public attempts to downplay any animosity, Carey's now famous line is often seen as a defining moment in the ongoing yet largely unspoken feud between the two divas. Over the years, the phrase has transcended the original moment, becoming a cultural meme and a quintessential example of celebrity shade. Thanks for watching and subscribing channel.